In the interest of finding out where the children are and looking at all possibilities, someone asked, what if the children aren't dead? If not, where are they? What really happened to all the children during the time while the police barricaded access to the exits? A video has been published showing trapped Lahaina residents trying to escape while police blocked off roads purposely as they tried to escape the Maui fires.
I just can't freaking see.
Just put your phone down, all video.
We're not letting anyone up. We're just trying to get out. Now we're out of it.
We can see now. Okay. I can't believe that. It was like black. That was crazy. Wow. Ooh. We're good now.
Yep, we're good. We're out.
Damn. There's another engine. Let's go.
Yeah.
It was right next to our car.
Right.
Could have reached out and touched it.
I don't know which way to go. I guess just keep going away from the fire.
Yeah. Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire. It's scary.
I just can't freaking see.
Just put your phone down, all video.
We're not letting anyone up. We're just trying to get out. Now we're out of it.
We can see now.
Okay.
I can't believe that. It was like black. That was crazy. Wow.
Ooh.
We're good now.
Yep, we're good. We're out.
Damn. Just another engine. It's good.
Yeah.
It was right next to our car.
Right.
Could have reached out and touched it.
I don't know which way to go. I guess just keep going away from the fire.
Yeah. Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire. It's scary.
As you'll hear, survivors felt like they were in an actual real-life nightmare.
That's all I could hear was get out, get out, get out in my head. Punched the screen part out. Flames and smoke came out of that window that I just jumped out of, and our whole house was consumed with flames. And all around me was, all I could see was fire and smoke and stuff, and it was so eerie. There was not a sound other than flames and cackling smoke, but in the eeriness, I felt I was in a Twilight Zone nightmare.
We never thought during our lifetime that we would ever be in a position like this. It is like, it's like a nightmare. You know, we're in a nightmare. We lost everything. Everybody had hope. Somebody would have a home. You know, at least save one home. But nobody got saved. Everybody lost. Nobody got saved. Everybody lost everything.
The projected number of wildfire deaths remains elusive, with over 1,000 still missing. Another question, are all of the deceased indigenous people? Did they actually wipe out entire generations so that they can't claim their own land? Let's recap. They burnt down people's homes and land, so their homes were basically stolen. People were evicted from their own property. People were trapped in the fire purposely. The water to fight the fire was also turned off. Children are still missing. Food and water for the victims was being withheld. Victims, along with the rest of the world, are still being lied to. Mainstream media is starting to publish articles like this one, which says, in deadly Maui fires, many had no warning and no way out. Those who dodged barricades survived. As flames tore through a West Maui neighborhood, car after car of fleeing residents headed for the only paved road out of town in a desperate race for safety. And car after car was turned back toward the rapidly spreading wildfire by a barricade blocking access to Highway 30. One family swerved around the barricade and was safe in a nearby town 48 minutes later. Another drove their four-wheel drive car down a dirt road to escape. A key takeaway is that only those who disobeyed survived. What really stuck out the most in this article was this. Many of the survivors are angry and haunted by the thought that just a few minutes of notice could have saved many lives. We needed like 10 more minutes and and we could have saved a lot of kids if we just had like a 10 or 15 minute warning. Matt Walsh commented after seeing this story saying, just to review, the local government in Maui didn't use the sirens to alert residents to the fire, didn't allow access to water to put out the fire, and blocked the only exits out of town. This is one of the greatest scandals in American history. Many people should be in prison. Even Elon Musk himself chimed in, saying they should be prosecuted if there's any justice in this world. Cernovich tweeted, man, this is hard to read for anyone, especially if you have kids. DEI and other ESG mandated policies killed. There are multiple ways Maui ends differently. Alarms go off. Amber sleepy emergency style texts get sent. Water basin for firefighting is filled. On and on. The survivors of the fire in Maui are left homeless, jobless, and without money. Robert F. Kennedy tweeted, President Biden just offered a $700 payment per household to Maui residents. He's also asking for $25 billion for Ukraine. Let's do a little math. There are about 50,000 households in Maui. $25 billion adds up to $500,000 per household. That gives you some idea of what this nation is sacrificing to fund the war machine. Not to mention, refugees get $2,275. So Hawaiians get $700 to rebuild their entire lives. Why don't you go check out prices for hotels and Airbnbs in Maui and tell me what you can find for $700 there. Of Boxable, which are basically tiny homes that unfold in an instant to provide immediate shelter. Galliano tweeted, I've reached out to every government contact I can think of to try and get our houses to Maui, but gotten no response. Boxable is prepared to divert 200 houses to Maui today. If anyone can help make that happen, email me. On yesterday's update, we discussed how the Maui police chief, John Pelletier, is also the coroner, but we were left with so many questions. For one, how does Pelletier, who worked in the Las Vegas desert, suddenly then transfer to the small island of Maui and become the first non-native chief so easily? The only connection I see between Vegas and Maui is that they refer to Vegas as the ninth island. How does a close-knit community like Maui look at this guy's resume, see he was deeply connected and in charge of the deadliest shooting in U.S. history, and say, hey, you're hired, and while you're at it, here's a 30% boost in your income? Who else came over to the island of Maui that has a dark history like this guy? What other officials are behind the scenes and are connected to this massacre? Pelletier is poisonous, and what he's saying simply does not make sense.
When we find these, our family and our friends, the remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal.
I'm sure plenty of you have seen these videos that have been coming out of Maui of vehicles literally melting onto the street. The aluminum is literally melting out of the vehicles, and the melting point for aluminum is 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just crazy because, as you can see in this next video, none of the asphalt has melted along with this. And you would expect that to happen in fires that are reaching over 1220 degrees. And the melting point of asphalt is 343 degrees Fahrenheit. So make that make sense.
We have to do rapid DNA to identify them. So when we pick up the remains and they fall apart, that's what you're stepping on. I don't know how much more you want me to describe it. That's what you're stepping on.
So as a former funeral home owner and licensed funeral director for over 2 decades, I worked very extensively and closely with our local crematory. I was taught by that crematory that they need to cremate in between 2,000 and 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So the question is, how hot were those fires to be able to incinerate or cremate human remains? We know that it was at a higher level than 1,500 to 2,500 because it melted the rims on the vehicles. Why are there no bodies in the cars?
Why are there no bodies in the cars? Alright, so you guys left a lot of comments, and you commented about the date 8/8 as well as HARP. do and the color blue. Newsweek is trying to debunk theories about blue objects and direct energy weapons.
The atmosphere, causing weather changes. HARP is being used for weather modification. The military's own record proves it. They've admitted it within their own documents, and yet they still deny it to the public. Even mainstream media has reported on weather modification.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning.
Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer. Governments have been playing with this thing. Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control. All right, I think we're going to leave it right there for today.